I'm going to make this one short, but I think it's very necessary to speak on this. Those of you who have been listening to my videos for like the last 5 years, you know that there's hundreds and hundreds out of videos that I've posted. And I've talked about how the name of the Messiah, the name of the Moshiach, has been replaced with a false name, a name of a false God, as they say. Um, And also, I've mentioned many, many times and proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt that the cross is the mark of the beast. Now, it's extremely, all you have to do is peruse through history. You can find these things. It's not hard to do. Use the brain that our Creator made for you. But there is something out there that makes it even easier to know the truth. And what it is, it's the Hebrew Matthew. Now, this Hebrew Matthew was put together by, I'm not sure if his name was Isaac Ben Tov or something like that. Isaac Ben Tova. But many of the rabbis who had conflict with the Catholic Church were forced to do, and I got some of this information from, what is that fellow's name? Nehemiah. I forgot his name. Uh, but these rabbis were forced by the Catholic priests to debate with them to prove that these Catholics were wrong. And if they were able to prove that the Catholics were wrong, then they would be banished from Catholic territory. But if, however, they were unable to prove that the Catholics were wrong, they had two choices: convert to Catholicism or die. So this one particular rabbi decided that he was going to find and write out the Hebrew version of the Gospel of Matthew. And this is the reason that the Gospel of Matthew is still available today. Now, you must understand that all the Gospels must agree with each other. The ones that people read today, they are translated, loosely translated, from Hebrew to Greek to Latin and then to English if you are an English speaker. Now, I know that in the first grade, your first, second grade teacher had everyone do this little exercise where one child speaks a word into the ear of another child, and they go from child to child to child to child, and 30 children later, the 30th child writes down or says to the teacher what they heard. And it's always consistently a different word than what the first one said. That's just the nature of humans, folks. That's just the way it is, okay? So obviously you would want to go to the most original text as you can possibly find. Now, added to this problem of translation and transliteration, and of course transliteration, folks, is not translation, unfortunately. Transliteration is a form of trying to, how do I say this? It's just one man's version. It's one man's opinion. It's not a translation. It's just like, well, we don't want to say this word. We want to say this word because this word is in our language and that word is not. And we don't want to change, so we want to use our word or our name. Now, this particular YouTube video is pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, one thing it does have is Yeshua instead of Yahushua, which I don't really like because it's if you're let me put it to you this way. If you're going to see Queen Elizabeth, right? We all know that Lizzie or Liz is short for Elizabeth, correct? Correct. You may have a sister or an aunt named Elizabeth, but you call her Liz or Lizzie, don't you? Yes, you do. Let me ask you a question. Would it be correct, would it be proper, if you are summoned before the Queen of England, to stand before her and then address her as Lizzie? No. No, that would not be correct. That would be disrespectful. Okay. Now, when you listen to this particular video, Hebrew Matthew, you're going to hear Yeshua being said. It is a shortened version of Yahushua. But when you are addressing the name, especially since the name has Jehovah's name in it, you must address it properly. Like you're coming before a king or a prince. If you were to come before the king of Saudi Arabia or the crown prince, you wouldn't address him in any disrespectful way. Of course you wouldn't. So why would you want to address Yahushua in such a way? Especially since his name has the name of the Father in it. So, now, having talked about this and addressing that particular subject, if you listen, if you take the time to listen, yes, it's close to 3 hours long. It's a good thing to do. I've gone about this far, but I've gone back and forth in it. And in it, we're going to go to Matthew 10, I believe. Well, I want to address a particular subject matter in Matthew that's going to completely destroy, but prove me correct for one, but completely destroy the narrative of the cross. The cross. Did Yahushua use the term or the word cross? No, of course not, because cross is English. What word did he use? Watch this. Let's see. Okay, Matthew 10. Strong's Concordance. Now, Strong's is not always correct, folks, but it is pretty good. Maybe I have to do this. Hold on. Go to Strong's Concordance real quick. We'll go to Mark 10:21. I know there's one in Matthew 10 as well, but I didn't want to spend all day looking for it. Now, remember what I have told you many, many times. Yahushua is the name. You don't contract the name to Joshua, okay? It means Jehovah saves, not Yahweh saves. Because Yehoshua and Jehovah are the same name with one exception, with an additional help or salvation added to it. Okay? This is the reason why my argument holds water. It's very obvious. So, we'll go back and continue. Where was I? I have to go backwards to find out where I was. Mark 10:21. All right. 21. Then Yehoshua, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, You lack one thing. Go your way, sell whatever you have, and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come and take up your... What language did Yehoshua speak? Okay, so remember, it was several years ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whenever it was, when I believe it was Benjamin Netanyahu and the man at the Vatican had just a little small debate about the language that Yehoshua spoke. And of course, the prime minister said he spoke Hebrew, and then the guy at the Vatican said he spoke Aramaic. Aramaic is Hebrew. In fact, Aramaic is the oldest form of Hebrew there is. So, both Jew and Catholic agree that Yehoshua spoke Aramaic or Hebrew. It's the same language. So what is the word? Did he say cross? No, he did not. Did he say stauros? Did he speak in Greek? No, he did not. So all of this is incorrect. As I told you, Strong's Concordance is not 100% right. In this case, Strong's Concordance is wrong. Wrong. So what is the Hebrew word that he used? You will find it this way. When you go to Hebrew Matthew in this particular video, you will find that the original Hebrew text, the man says gallows. Gallows. But that's still English. But he didn't say cross, he said gallows. So we go back to and look up the word gallows. Esther has plenty of them, and the book of Ezra has plenty of them. But I want to go to the book of Yehoshua. That's right, I said it correctly, not the book of Joshua. Yehoshua. We just read that languages have contracted the name from Yehoshua to Joshua. I don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't. Now, What we're going to do is go back to Strong's Concordance again in Yahushua 10, verse 27. And it came to pass at that time, in the going down of the sun, that, what does that say? You see that? It says Yahushua. It means Jehovah's salvation. Or Jehovah is salvation. Jehovah is the Father. And they took them down off the trees. Trees? Let's look a little harder. Eitz. The Hebrew word is eitz. Well, you see tree, trees, and wood. Okay. Don't see gallows yet. That's all right. Keep looking. Carpenter's framework. Bam. Gallows. That is the word that Yahushua used when he said, take up your eitz and follow me. Your gallows. Now, my dad always said this to me since I can't even remember. Cursed is he that hangs on a tree. I may have to look it up on Google. All right. Now, what have the Gentiles done with the words of Paul? Now that you've got context, folks, now that you understand what happened here, you see how they have taken liberty with words. Now, the King James Version says, and I quote, Christ has redeemed us from every curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it is written, cursed is everyone that hangs on a tree. Or, it should read, Moshiach redeemed us from the curse of the Torah by becoming the curse for us, because it is written, cursed is everyone who is hung on a tree. What I'm saying to you is, folks, Yahushua the Messiah never used the word cross. The disciples, not even Paul, when he was speaking to the Gentiles, Galatians, did he use the word cross. He used tree or gallows. What would be the English version of the tree or gallows? Every time they added the word cross in there, that was adding their lie to pervert the truth. So, let me ask you a question. Was Yahushua hanged on a tree, or was he hanged on a cross? If you deny it was a tree, then the curse is back upon you. If you say it was a cross so that you can worship the emblem of the beast, you will have that curse on you. Let me see if I can find the I don't know if there are many versions in here. Here we go. Oh, whoa, where are you going? Forgot the 13, verse 13. Now, the Aramaic version is not perfect either, but it's better than King James Version, because the name God is not Aramaic. It's Elohim. Verse 10, for those who are of the works of the written law are under the curse. Who is that? That's the Jews. Fact. It's all Israel. For it is written, cursed is everyone that shall not do what is written in this Torah. The Torah was only given to the 12 tribes of Israel. You can read all over the Moses and the prophets. But that a man is not made right with Elohim by the written law, this is revealed because it is written, the just shall live by faith. That's also written in Moses and the prophets. But the written law or written Torah was not from faith, but whosoever shall do these things that are written in it shall live in them, or he will live. But the Moshiach has redeemed us from the curse of the Torah. What is the curse of the Torah? If anyone that does not do the works of this Torah are cursed. The fact, you can look at the blessings and the cursings in the book of Deuteronomy, specifically Deuteronomy 28, 29, and 30. 27, 28, 29, and 30. Now, if you go to chapter 30, you will see that after the blessings and the cursings comes salvation, comes forgiveness of sin, restoration of all things Israel, reconciliation between Jehovah and the whole house of Israel. And this was the reason why it is written right here. But the Messiah has redeemed us from the curse of the Torah because he became a curse in our place. For it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. So that the blessing of Abraham would be with the nations, with the Gentiles, by Yahushua, the Messiah, and we would receive the promise of the Spirit by faith. Now, my brethren, verse 15, I speak as among men, that a man does not reject or change anything in a man's covenant, which has been confirmed, but the promise was promised to Abraham and to his seed. All right. And he did not say to him, to your seeds, as to many, but to your seed, as to one who is the Messiah, Moshiach. For I say this, the covenant, which was confirmed the first time by Elohim in the Messiah, in the Moshiach, the written Torah, which was 430 years afterward, cannot cancel the promise. And all Moses and the prophets agree. They agree with this statement. But if the inheritance was written by the Torah, it would not be, therefore, to be from the promise to Abraham. You see, the promise to Abraham is not written in the Torah. That was before the Torah was written. So why, therefore, is the Torah? It was added because of sin, rebellion, until the one who came to whom the promise belonged to. All right? Now, what I'm saying is, folks, this Hebrew Matthew is going to cancel out every time where it says Jesus Christ and cross. It'll cancel it out. It came, it was there before these new versions came out. These new versions cannot cancel Hebrew Matthew. How do you like that? If you're going to use Paul's explanation about the promise given to Abraham, which was before the Torah was written, how the Torah cannot cancel out the promise that was written to Abraham, that it was given to Abraham, then neither can King James Version, the Latin versions, the Lutheran version, English Standard Versions, Young's Literal Translation, none of them can cancel out the original Hebrew Matthew.